Hello, everyone. How are you doing? I hope you are well. I hope you're having an amazing day. Hello, 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 hello. I hope you are well. Dr. Tammy here. I am your success strategist and literacy educator. I help you strategize how to move in the direction of more and prepare for what's next. And what we do here on C4C Global Cypher is we talk about books. And this month, and last month, we did this one for 2 months. And so some of you may not have been haven't finished reading yet, but you still have time. The month's not over. So we're on a day early. We have some things going on in our lives. So we came on a day early to just wrap up the book and give some highlights from the book. And what is the book? You're probably asking. What is this book? This book is What Doesn't Kill You Makes You Blacker by Damon Young. This is the one that we chose to read this summer. And so we are reading this one now. And so we invite you to read it. If you haven't checked it out, if you're reading it and you haven't finished, keep going, because we know that some of you may not be finished just yet. So keep reading. If you are joining us, make sure you say hello to us in the comments. Make sure you tell us where you're joining us from, if this is your first time. And we like to hear from you. We like to hear your thoughts on the book if you have read it. So this particular episode, this particular show is about giving your opinions of the book in its entirety. So, and anything that stood out to you, any highlights, anything like that. So that's exactly what we're going to do today. We're going to talk about too much in particular, lest we bring something up based on what we liked and didn't like. We'll bring that up, but we're just going to talk about the highlights and share those with you so you get just a little bit of what the book is about. And that way you'll know if you want to read it, if you haven't read it, and if you're reading it, keep going. Finish the book. And so saying that we're going to be finishing the book, next month we'll be starting a new book. And that book will possibly be, I say possibly, it is, I already know. It's going to be someone from our community who's going to be who's an author and who will share what they've written about. So we are voting right now. So once that is complete, I will be announcing our next read, which would be one of the authors from our reading community, which I like to do occasionally. So September, October, that's what that will be. So I'm excited about that. So today I have Miss Trifanya Osei, Miss Elegant Granny on social media. She is joining me today, and we're going to just wrap up the book, talk a little bit about it. And she has really been so amazing in helping me discuss this book and showing up regularly with me. And so this has been awesome. So Trifanya, before you come on, I'm saying thank you so much. And let me bring her on. I'm going to have her introduce herself, tell a little bit about herself. And yeah, we'll go right into it. We'll go right into it. Let's add her. Hey, girlfriend, how are you?
Hey, I'm doing good, doing good.
All right. So introduce yourself. I know we do this every time we meet, but just in case somebody hasn't seen the other episodes, introduce yourself to the audience, how they can follow you or find you and keep up with you and all that good stuff. And then we'll hop right into it. Is that okay?
All right.
All right. Go for it.
Hello, everyone. I am Elegant Granny. I am your restoration strategist who supports victims and survivors of abuse as they transition from a toxic lifestyle to a healthier lifestyle. In addition, I also supply information and resources for those who support them, like their family members and their friends who want to see them and help them be more sustainable as they transition from a life of abuse. You can find me on Linktree, which is in my bio, Linktree/Elegant Granny. And you can find me there. You can find my website there, how to contact me for clarity calls. If you need, you have questions, comments, concerns, or you need some resources on how to best help someone, or things you can do for them or say for them as they are contemplating how to escape safely, things that you can keep in mind as a supporter for them, you can give me a call. All you do is go on the Linktree and click on Clarity Calls, and I will get with you. You can also find other things that you can get in contact with me about on the Linktree. So that's who I am. And there's my link, my information showing up right there. You can push that link and find me everywhere. Those links, that tree will put you everywhere I am.
Awesome. Awesome. I'm over here trying to share out. And I saw my connection was a little wonky at the beginning. So thank you all for being here. Say hello to us in the comments. I appreciate you joining us live. So let's see. And I'm looking. I may be a little off, but your connection is great. So you may see me
Okay.
put you on the screen.
Okay.
If that's the case. So for those of you that are joining us, just hang on with us. Y'all can see Elegant Granny great. So we'll see how things go over here, see if I can fix things a little bit. So I'm going to work on that. So let's just talk about some of the highlights in here. So is there anything in here that you would like to point out or start with? Anything in particular? And I'm putting you on the spot first. I was going to talk first, but I'm going to go back out, not out, but I'm going to go off screen so I can see if I can try a different connection, because I know it's during the day and everybody's on the internet. So,
Mhm.
so that may be part of my issue too. So we'll see.
All right. All right. So, what I appreciate about Damon Young the most is his personality is in this essay. His memoir and different essays. Each chapter is an essay, and ink pen. I've been taking all kind of notes. How his personality flows, how it's not exactly grammatically correct, and even with the editing, it's like you see how he's using a lot of run-on sentences and everything like that. And it kind of makes it flow better, especially when you have a poetic mindset. And I'm also a poet. So when I see something like that and the way he is versing everything, it makes it flow evenly, especially when as you're reading and you're an avid reader as we are, and you look for the person's personality first so you can relate with the author. And so I really appreciated that. That really helped. So when you read the book, it's like you don't look for this change. It's like, this is who this person is. You already know. It's like, so you can delve into his story even more. What I also liked is how he reverted back to his parents a lot. A lot of times, what we do, especially in the Black community, and possibly everybody does it, but especially in the Black community, we attribute so much to our parents and our ancestors. You hear us talk about our ancestors so much. And his mom is his ancestor now because she passed, I think, in 2013, I think I have in my notes. 2013, 2014, something like that. But how he still honors her by talking so much about her love for his father, and how that was the biggest thing that he relished on, is how much, no matter what his father dealt with as a Black man in America, how his mother loved him so much. She never complained about anything. But she had a few complaints, but they weren't complaints that put
Right.
the father down. They were building, she built him up, and she made life look grand for Damon as a child. And that's most appreciative, because a lot of families have had to do that in this particular community. They had to do that because, but they also taught realities. They had to sit down and have conversations and hold reality. So those are the main things that I that rung true to for me and helped me to stick with this story and to stick with his essays. So, and the words, oh my goodness, the word porn that he used, because he was big on words, and I'm big on words too, but quite often I had to have a separate notebook and write down words and go look them up and then go back and reread how he used them. I'm like, oh, okay, I got you now. because that's how my mother taught me. My mother, I would always ask my mother, Mom, what does this mean? Go look it up. So
Yes.
she never would explain anything and my mother, she's a big word porn person too. She's a writer, she's a poet, and so she instilled it. Now my other two sisters, she didn't do that with, because they're not readers. So she knew they were not going to grasp it like I would.
So
So
she saw
she,
something in you.
yes, yes. And that was another thing too that I picked up while he's talking in here, how his parents, each one saw something different in him, but they still saw something great, how he could be, and even to where he is in his greatness right now. They saw it. Even though his mother is no longer in this realm with him, she saw it and she did her part. The way he told the stories about even when he was a little boy, Mama did her part. She did her part. So that made it very enjoyable to read.
I agree. I agree. So I'm still over here playing with connections. So
And you look better now. You don't look grainy like you were.
okay, perfect, perfect. I'm glad you could tell because I'm looking. So y'all see my eyeballs going over there. That's because I'm checking. So I see it's coming in and out. So maybe you can at least see that it's me.
Yeah.
But yes, and I really I agree with that. Like, and that's one of the things I think I said from the beginning about his writing and style is that it's really, and I use the word authentic because to me that's how, he didn't clean it up. He wasn't this, it had to be just perfect standard English, that he
Mhm.
wrote in. So it was the way he thought. His thoughts were his thoughts, and the way he spoke was the way he spoke. And then he had the moments when he did say, you could tell he's educated man because then you could see that he wrote
Mhm.
that way, and he wrote from with evidence and research, and he could, it was really nice. And so you got that. So I think you get all sides of him, and that's one of the things I think that people forget is that we are complex and it's
Mhm.
not something so simple. And I like that in this book, he does that without like spelling it out to us. You kind of get that
Mhm.
that we like you can see all sides of him. You can see
Mhm.
some of his inner thoughts that are a little more appropriate, some of his terminology, all those things you get to be, you have a seat and to see that. And so I really like that about this book. And that was the one thing. And he has a sense of humor. So it's
Yeah.
actually, some parts are a little funny, and I like that
A
too.
lot of it's funny.
I found myself laughing out loud. And the reason is and I think one of the now one is just funny, like for pure comedy. Hey
Mhm.
Lizzie. One of it's
Mhm.
just pure funny. But the other thing I think is so real is that as a black female with a brother, a black male, I think some of it is just like, oh, it rings true. Or because I lived in a black household, like the
Mhm.
Kool-Aid. Like that's funny because I remember that. And I remember,
Yes.
like, I started thinking about all my cousins, all my, and
And
so I
everybody
think that
had
it's
that
funny
drawer.
on multiple levels. I think it's funny on multiple levels. Like, if you don't get it and you've never experienced it, it's funny. But if
Mhm.
you've experienced it, then it's a laugh out loud kind of funny where you're like, wait, 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 let me go read that again. I found myself
Yeah.
reading some areas again because it was so funny. So I like that even though it's a real serious, so don't get me wrong. It's a
Mhm.
real serious book. It covers some serious topics, which we're going to talk about in just a second, some of those topics. But it's also funny, like it's entertainment. And so you at moments, I forget that it's actually true. Like this is a memoir. I forget at
Mhm.
times as I was reading it that it's actually true. Like I would find myself think that it was fiction and I could just relate to it, but it's not. Like this is
Mhm.
his life. And fortunate or unfortunate, some of the things parallel, depending on what the incident was, with
Mhm.
mine or with my experiences or the experiences of those that I love. So I think that's funny. So let me just say, we have a few people coming in there. Hey, Butcher, I know you're probably gone, but hey, let me say hello to you. Hey, Lizzie, thank you for joining us. We're wrapping up the book We appreciate you joining us again this week. So, for those of you just coming in, we are talking about what doesn't kill you makes you blacker. Damon Young. We're finishing up. This is our last discussion, discussion about this book, and we'll be announcing soon the other books. So we are just wrapping up, just generally our highlights from the book and what we liked and didn't like about the book and that sort of thing. Although I must say, there wasn't anything I didn't like.
Right.
I
Same
will
here.
say that. Now, I will say that I can find that some people, not myself, but some people may find the language offensive, just because he does use profanity. But it's authentic. I think it's authentic. So, other than that, I really liked it. I didn't have that, and even that's not a problem for me. But I will put that as a caution for those of you who are thinking about reading it. That it is like it's his thoughts, like it's him, it's who he is,
Mm-hmm.
and you get all of that. It's a memoir, so you get all of that in here. But so he does use, profanity quite a bit, and some of the
Yeah.
titles I found myself transparency moment. I found myself even with some of the titles like hesitant to say them, especially on camera because I don't curse typically on camera or too many other places either. Like maybe if I stump my toe or something, but I don't really, curse or use curse words. So the thing was, I found myself when I was mentioning a title, I was kind of hesitant. And one, I think I'm grown. Two, it's the title. And three, it's going to be okay. But I'm always thinking as a businesswoman. But like some of his titles were really, you know, just
Raw.
there. Yes, Lizzie said it best. It was a raw book. It really is. It really is. And it's really good. Like I recommend you check it out and read it because he talks about some of the things that he some good topics. So let's talk about that. What are some things because I may forget some. So let's just kind of brainstorm a list of some things that he talks about that and if you haven't checked out previous episodes of this, check it out. You can find it on my YouTube channel. You can Dr. Tammy Francis. You can find it on my platforms at Dr. Tammy Francis. You can find the live videos somewhere. They're not hidden or anything. So go check them out. But some of the topics that he talks about police brutality. He talks about seeking employment and unemployment and some of the things that are really relevant today like that's really big today. So he talks about that. He even approaches that. And oh my goodness, in chapter 10, when he talks, one of the things that speaking of unemployment, he talks about move back in with your parents, keep some essentials and putting the rest of your shit in the same storage facility your parents used when they were homeless in 2001. So he even talks about some of the things like he had to do, when he found himself in a tight financial situation. Like he just had to come raw, like just move your stuff into a storage, like move. Go somewhere and move in with your parents, like make some sacrifices for a moment. And so he talks about some of those things. And so he talks about that. He talks about privilege. He talks about white privilege and just privilege as in who you know versus what you know. We talked about that last week. He talks about anything else. I know I'm missing a lot because he talks about some other things. Oh, he talks about just how we are as people and some of the things that we do, like just think everyday things like grooming and things like that, and how that's different and how that looks for a Black male. And I think that's interesting too. Like those are some of the things we don't think about, but he addresses some topics like that, like the Kool-Aid thing that we talked about last week. He talked about the grooming with the going to the barbershop. He talked about all those things, but I think everything that he talks about, he brings it home and talk about how that relates to Blackness. And unfortunately, how some of those situations get you to question your Blackness and or adjust and assimilate into society, and based on what you do and changing what you do. And that's unfortunate, but that's just real, right? That's just something that happens, unfortunately. And so he talks about some of those things too. So some of the things he brings out, you think they're trivial, like dating and relationships that he talks about. He talks about that too, because he talks about his relationships with different people. And I know Trifanya probably has something to say about that. But he talks about some of those things, but all those things, gets you to question who you are, what you want, and where you want to be. And I think that, and it all goes back to the blackness or anti-blackness in America. And I think that's a big topic today. So I think read it. I mean, you'll get this is a real experience. So that's the difference between reading something that's scholarly and an article out there. Like, this is someone's experience. And even though it's one person's, you can start looking at what the media, the things that are around you, the images and things that you are consuming, and you can actually make comparisons with that. And I think that, builds evidence for certain stances, because I think you have to take a stand. You can't be on the fence. You got to decide where you are and what you believe, and to stand in that. So, all right, Trifanya, I'm talking. Go.
No, you pretty much gave all the topics, but what I would add to that is this right here. The reason why we consistently stress get this is because this right here gives you what the media does not.
Right.
This right here.
Yeah, because he even talks about the elections, right? He talks about elections.
Yes,
He talks about both Obama's election and then the Trump. So he's talking
yes,
about the different elections and how that. So he talks about some of those things that we haven't really gone in depth in. We just kind of we do a cursory. Like, this is like
yes,
so
yeah.
surface what we do here, but it's because we know that some of you haven't read the book. We don't want to give too much away, and two, because we want you to read the book. Like, read the book.
Mhm. Yes, you have to read this because, like I said, he's giving you what the media is not giving you. The media is giving you like surface and what they want you to know. But this right here is true experience.
Yeah,
This
and I
is
think
how
and
it
it
is
gives his inner
lived out.
thoughts. Right.
This is how everything that's going on now is lived out. You want to know what the truth is, even with the Black Lives Matter right now and everything that's going
Yeah.
on. Read this. This will give you real indication of what's going on, not
And
just
what has
what's
been going on, and what has
yeah,
been
and
going on,
what
because
happened
he kind of
because
takes
it's
you from a
never
little
stopped.
boy. Right.
Yeah, because it's
Yeah.
never stopped. And I even have my experiences of things that I've had to say to some of my white counterparts at work on the weekends. And I've had to let them know because they're under the impression that these things are just starting to come up again. And they had stopped in it somewhere in the 80s. And I'm like, where did you get that from? Because in my skin, this never stopped.
Yeah.
I was in high school in the 80s. It never stopped. I was in my early 20s in the 90s. It never stopped. I'm 50 something now. It still has not stopped. I said, you think these things have stopped? These things never stop. And it's at a point now with the generation that's out now, because I'm from Generation X, then there's Y and Z and millennials and all of that. That millennial / whatever they mixed up with now, they're like, oh, hell no, we're not taking this. No, we're not taking it. And you know what? Kudos. That's all I say to them, because it at some point, when is America? Well, first of all, it is still in the amendment that, and that we're still considered 3/5 human. That has never changed. That in itself needs to change. And the generation that's out now, that's protesting now, they're like, oh, you're going to see us in a different light. You're going to see us as human beings. You're not going to continue treating us as animals. You're not going to do that. And so I encourage them, make your voice be heard, because we have been silent too long. And those who are from other ethnicities or other races who say they support us, you've been silent too long also. So as they speak. This, when I say get this book, read this book, you need to get it. And especially it brings it home because he's also a poet. So what poets do, poets give you every poem I've ever read from for poets, they give you real life experiences. That's where the poetry comes from. They give you true, real life experiences. And this is what he's done with this work, and put them in the form of essays. And you can still see the poet come out of him as he is telling everything that has gone on in his life and what is still going on in his life, and how we are able to still relate to it. And I even think there are some things, even if you're not Black, you can relate to it.
Oh, absolutely.
You know,
Absolutely.
because it's
If
happening.
if you're walking with your eyes wide open,
Yes.
that's
If you
the
want,
caution. Like if you're not walking
yeah.
with blinders on, it you're actually paying attention. Yeah, absolutely.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and I guess, because I'm trying to think of any other topics. Of course, he talks about, social media. He talks about some other things. So he addressed a lot. And the way his chapters are written is that he kind of tells you his story. And then at the end, you get the rationale for that. What is the underlying issue? What is the deeper issue? Like,
Hmm.
it seems like it's just a story. He's fun, you're joking, you're having fun, you're laughing, but at the end he reveals, by the end, it may not even be exactly at the end, but by the end you get, oh, this is the deeper meaning. This is what was the result of that experience. This is how it left him. This is how it impacted him. And this is how it can impact someone. And so I think that that's a big deal, because I think the one thing that is a thread is the family throughout too, and him referring to his parents and their experience, and this generational thing that happens, and how some of the things his parents experienced, he experienced it. It was a little different. It was at a different level. It may not have been as intense or as, heartbreaking, but he experienced it, and he had to kind of go back and learn from what they've experienced and what he experienced living with them to, make better choices for himself. And I think it's always this idea that your choices will put you in a better position than the previous generation. And so I think that's one of the biggest things I got from this book too, is that looking at historically what is happening, not only in the world and society, but also in your family, and how you can change and alter that and improve on that. Like, you should leave the world better than you found it. And so you should leave your family situation better than you entered it. And so I think that's part of it as well. So, and I think that that was really big, that I got, like, even through the little situations that he put out and he talked about, it made me think about that. And especially some of the things that are really going on right now, about the unemployment and the elections and things that are happening, that we're in the midst of, things changing, and you're seeing in media right now. I think a lot of that right now is that he brought out. It was like, made me think about it a little differently, and really, do some self-reflection. Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah.
So I like
Yeah.
that about it.
Yeah. I also liked everything that you said. And then from how he talked about how life was for his parents as Black. Then he went into how life was him as Black. And then at the very last chapter, how it is for his daughter Zoe
Yeah.
as a Black female, and the disparities there, and the fears that those generational fears still carry even in 2020. Those generational fears that have been there from our ancestors still are there today, because some of those things that they have lived out, we're still living.
Right.
And so now he's just like his father was trying to figure out how to talk to him about being a Black man in America as he gets older. Now he and his wife are trying to figure out how to do the same thing with their young daughter. You
Right.
know, and he even says, let me see if I can find it. It's on page 304. See if I can turn to it real quick. And I'm not going to read the whole thing, but
Okay.
because
Oh,
it is
yeah.
lengthy.
Just
How
even the
he,
top of that chapter, that page, when he says
yes,
she's still in danger.
still in danger. She is still thought to be a threat. She will still have people see her and assume she's older and stronger and tougher than she really is. She will still encounter nurses and doctors who will assume she doesn't experience pain the same way little white girls do. She will still have her intelligence doubted as if it's not possible to be that black and also be that sharp. She will still have to watch racism and sexism join forces and attempt to pathologize her. She will still contend with the Chinese water torture of racial microaggressions. All these same things that our parents and our grandparents and their grandparents faced. And now we're facing with our seed. And it's the same story. It's the same thing that has never ended. And that's what I was trying to convey to my white counterparts at work. These things, even though the media does not show them to you, have never stopped. That's the reason why we still react to certain things the way we do, because they never stop.
Right. Yeah. And so that's actually how he ended the chapter.
Mm-hmm.
So, so the question is, do you think there's going to be a continuation of this?
I would like to see a continuation of it. I would. I personally would, because of,
Because now that
first
his
of
daughter
all,
is there and all that gets, do you think he will
yes,
then write it, not necessarily, as a black male, but then as a father?
as a father, and watch how things evolved as she evolves, as she's growing, and to also have indicators and benchmarks of what has changed and what has still been the same, what has gotten better, what's gotten worse. It would be interesting to see how he puts that out.
So Darnell says already written. So is it so has he written it, or do you mean like it's just already written, meaning that somebody else has written it, Darnell? Because tell me if there's a part two of this. This is the book I stumbled on recently, so I haven't really looked into his other books, so I'll be honest about that, but that'll be good and see. Hello, Harrison. How's it going? So yeah. So yeah. So people are just saying hello.
Yeah.
So thank y'all for being here. So for those of you that are just coming in, we are discussing What Doesn't Kill You Makes You Blacker by Damon Young. We're just summing it up. We've been talking about it for about the last 2 months. And we have about 4, 5 broadcasts out there over on my YouTube channel, Dr. Tammy Francis, where you can see some of the previous episodes and check it out. But this has been a great discussion. Like I said, if you have missed this broadcast, you can go back and watch it. We just highlighted some of the things that he talks about. And he talks about everything, and he talks about it from a black male perspective. And he also addresses the black family and blackness and anti-blackness, and how he has navigated one of the decisions he made based on his position in society. And so I think that this is a great read for you to pick it up. If you haven't checked it out, check it out. For those of you that have started with us, tell us if you're liking it. Give us a review in the comments. Let us know whether you found it interesting. Like I said, it's not only is it honest and authentic, but there's also some humor. You'll find yourself laughing at some parts. Maybe not because it's funny, haha, but funny, peculiar. And then Darnell says the biblical perspective. If you look at it from a spiritual perspective, it is already written. It is already written. Okay, thank you for clarifying that. I appreciate that. Harrison, the discussions are there. You can go back and check them out. We have them, they're recorded. So some of them, we started back in July, I guess, right? Some of them are from July. So we've been reading this one for July and August. We'll have a new read that I will announce shortly. So look for that over on my social media. I'll be announcing the new book, which will be for one of the authors from our community. So yeah. So we're looking forward to that. So any final thoughts, any final highlights, anything before we bid adieu, before we leave? Okay.
I'm just gonna say what I've been saying. get the book. Trust me, y'all, get this book. This author is the truth. Get the book.
Get the book. So if you would, on our way out, if you would just tell people how to connect with you one more time, and then we'll wrap this up. How about
All
that?
right.
All right.
I am Elegant Granny. You can reach me at Linktree, Elegant Granny. The link is right there. I am a restoration strategist who supports victims and survivors of abuse as they transition to a healthier lifestyle. In addition, I also support their supporters, their family and friends who want to see them transition more sustainably. And I'm also creating and host of Proactive Eye podcast. You can find the link there on the link tree. And on there are plenty of discussions on intimate partner violence known as domestic abuse, child abuse, sexual assault and sexual violence, and also suicide prevention as it relates to abuse. A lot of people, they talk about suicide a lot, but they don't talk about the different dynamics of it. And I cover the part as it relates to abuse. So be sure to check out my podcast link.
Perfect. I got to type that out. Of course, you can probably hear me pecking. I probably should have got on mute. So thank you, Elegant Granny. Thank you so much for joining me the last 2 months and discussing this book and highlighting some of the things from the book. Like I said, our discussions are definitely surface, so definitely go back. Some of them we got a little deeper than others, but definitely go back and check those out. Read the book. Give us your thoughts on the reading. We appreciate you being here and joining us. And we'll be back. Look for the new schedule. There'll probably be a week break because we'll be getting the next book next week. So it'll probably about 2 weeks. We'll return and we'll see who's going to join me live. And hopefully we'll even have the author of the next book, whoever that is, join us live here for the discussions as well. So that'll be really good to add the author's perspective to it. So that'll be cool. Thank you, Elegant Granny. I'll see you next week.
All right.
Thank you all for joining us live or via the replay. We appreciate you. We have just completed and we have just finished. And some of you may not be. I understand. The month is still not over. So you may be still reading What Doesn't Kill You. Let me get my angles right here. What Doesn't Kill You Makes You Blacker by Damon Young. And we encourage you to check it out, read it, and enjoy. It is a great read, and you'll have some thoughtful moments. So you know me, I encourage you to journal. Join us in the community. You can join us in the community. That's always there. Let me see if I can find the right banner, but it's join, bit.ly, join C4C, Catalyst for Change. So make sure you join us in the group. We appreciate that. If you look forward, you can follow me here and check out my website. That'll lead you to the group as well. So definitely go to catalystforchangeglobal.net and you can get to the group that way. So yeah, make sure you follow us. Let's see. There we go, y'all. There we go. bit.ly, join CC4C, a conscious catalyst for change. I appreciate you being here. Thank you all, and we will see you soon. Bye.